and welcome to episode 1 of the Summer I Turned Swiftie, where we talk all things the summer I turned pretty from a Taylor Swift perspective. I'm Catherine.
I'm Jessica.
And we are two USA Today bestselling authors who became obsessed, just a little obsessed, with the summer I turned pretty. Jessica from the beginning and me only starting this summer. I'm a Swiftie.
I'm kind of a Swiftie observer.
Don't come for her, Swifties. She loves Taylor in her heart.
I do.
She does, of course. Who doesn't? I mean, lots of people, but it's fine. Like many this summer, as I mentioned, we became transfixed with this global phenomenon, but also the different level as writers of things that are going on in here are the Easter eggs, the use of music, the long-form storytelling, and we decided to talk about it because, we were texting about it constantly. So why not have a podcast and share our thoughts with all of you? And we also thought it was a great opportunity to go do a rewatch because there's going to be a movie. We don't know when it's coming out. It's not December 14th, guys, for all of you December 14th truthers out there. But we will be exploring all of that. We are going to go once a week, dropping on Wednesdays, what happened in each episode, what are the Easter eggs, what Taylor songs were there, what Taylor songs maybe we wish were there instead, and just anything else Swiftie related to this show, including the greater cultural and significance of the show.
And we kind of started talking at some point about how I felt like the Swifties were having kind of a different experience with this show and really taking it to the next level. I mean, I love Taylor. I admire her as a businesswoman. My daughter is a Swiftie, but she's only 11, so she doesn't have a lot of internet access to go down these like rabbit holes of Easter eggs and things like that. But like Catherine said, I've been watching this show, since the very beginning, since season 1 came out. And really this summer was a huge difference where the next morning I would get online, the algorithm knew all about me. It was feeding me all the posts about the show. And I was like, the Swifties are really like, they're pulling out all these things and saying their significance. And I'm like, are they right? Is this true? Like, I'm texting Catherine, like, Catherine, I know you're a Swiftie. Is this true? I know the show's created by a Swiftie. So we kind of really thought it was interesting kind of the way, because I know a lot of women like me, like who are very interested in Taylor and aware of Taylor, but not fully in the culture where we're trained to look for these Easter eggs. And as soon as a song starts playing, we attach this symbolism to it. Like if it's a deeper cut, I might not have even heard that song before. So we thought it would make really kind of interesting fodder for a conversation every week.
Yeah, and it's just an excuse for us to rewatch the show.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Let's be honest here. Yeah, but I think that's totally true because I think also, Swifties are fond of saying Taylor trained us to look for these things. And I think people, you do not have to be a Swiftie to watch along with us or to appreciate this show. And much like Taylor has explained with her own Easter eggs, you can just enjoy the music. And if you want to take these deep dives, then they're there to take as well. And also, like Taylor's never put out a book saying, like, here's all the Easter eggs, and you got this right or you got this wrong. Like, we still don't know about a lot of things. And Jenny has confirmed, Jenny Han, the creator of The Summer I Turned Pretty, has confirmed some of the Easter eggs, but not all of them. And so, we're kind of, it's not a shot in the dark. I mean, some of them I think are pretty obvious. Others are next level. Some of them you only get when you've watched the entire show and you go back and rewatch. But you can kind of dive in at any level that you want to. And if you just want to have a fun conversation about your new favorite show, then that is good here too. And maybe you'll get a little extra insight. You don't have to be a Swiftie, but you will be one by the end of it. I'm the cult indoctrinator here, obviously. But anyway.
She is. It will quickly become clear that one of us has watched every episode like 10 times, and one of us has watched every episode maybe 2 times. So. Sadly,
I only started watching the show in July of 2025. So I clearly have too much time on my hands. What I do have is insomnia. So there we go. Conrad Fisher, comes with me to bed every night. All right, we're going to delete that part.
Never.
Except for I don't know how to do that yet, so probably not. Okay, let's do a short recap of episode 1. The title is The Summer House, or just Summer House, sorry. And you'll notice if you look at the episode titles for season 1, all the episodes are called Summer something. She does this thematically. Every episode in season 2 starts with the same word, as does every episode in season 3, save one, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. Another important thing to think about is who is the point of view narrator of each episode. Almost all of them are narrated by Belly, our main character. Her real name is Isabel. Her internet nickname is Stomach, which always makes me laugh. I know, I don't know.
I just learned that for the first time.
I think people call her that when they're frustrated with her choices. But anyway, we do have some internal access to Belly's thoughts in real time through her voiceovers. Which I think you made an interesting point about this, Jessica. Like whether you actually needed those voiceovers or not in most of the show. Because I don't think that you do. But we'll get into that. The show
I think there's a little bit of sleight of hand going on with some of that narration too. And I think whether you are watching this for the first time right now because you want to know what all the fuss is about because no one else would shut up about it, or whether you're rewatching because it's over and you're used to looking forward to something on Wednesday, I think you will enjoy the show more if you do not rely on the narration and you kind of make your own observations about the other characters and what is going on with them.
100%. That is not a spoiler, but
yes.
One of the themes of the show is definitely reliable narrators and unreliable narrators. As two mystery/thriller/suspense authors, obviously that's something that we find super interesting. The show also uses flashbacks to fill in the past and provide context. But we start with Belly Conklin, her mother Laurel, and her brother Stephen arriving in Cousins, which is in Cape Cod. The show was shot in North Carolina, so it doesn't actually look like Cape Cod, but it is supposed to be Cape Cod, for the summer to stay with Susanna, Fisher, and her 2 boys, Conrad and Jeremiah. We learn that Belly has been in love with Conrad since she was a little kid, but he's never seen her that way, at least according to Belly. Belly looks different this summer. She's almost 16, and she starts drawing male attention right away, including from a sweet boy named Cam, who met her at a Latin conference a long time ago. These people are nerds, for sure. When Belly sees Conrad for the first time, Lover by Taylor Swift starts to play, and he's slowed down and smiles at her. He then tells her he liked her better with glasses and messes up her hair. Something is brewing with Conrad. He's acting different than he was. He's drinking, he's smoking, he's getting high, and Belly doesn't like it. They have 2 tense moments in the pool, which we will discuss. One where she pulls him in, and another where she's swimming at night. They attend a beach party where Belly finds Conrad kissing another girl. He later gets into a fight where Belly is injured, and Conrad is immediately concerned. In the car, waiting for Jeremiah to go find her brother Stephen, Conrad starts playing with her hair, telling her it's messy like a little kid's. The next morning, she finds him on the beach and tells him not to smoke anymore. And we never see him smoke again. That's a spoiler, but it's important. She runs off to find Cam, who she met at the beach party. And that's how the episode ends. So one of the segments that we wanted to do was to talk about our favorite scenes. So Jessica, I throw it off to you.
You know, I was watching this show mostly for the Belly Conrad yearning storyline, but in this first episode, first of all, as a rewatch, I have to say, they're so young. They're so young. And
yeah.
I think that is what is so cool about any coming of age show, is that the characters, especially if it's filmed over time, maybe you didn't have the same kind of culture shock, Catherine, since you watched them all this summer, but I literally hadn't watched this episode since 3 years ago, and it's kind of cool to look back and realize how far the characters have come, and especially some of the things that were coming out near the end where fans were like, well, she did this, well, he did this. And I'm looking at this episode like they were babies. They didn't know what they were doing. They're so young.
Yeah. So, well, and for anyone who hasn't thought about that, or if you're just watching for the first time, just so you know, Belly is 15, almost 16 at the beginning of the show. Jeremiah is 16, going on 17. We never find out when Jeremiah's birthday is in the show. Her brother Stephen is 17. He's a few months younger than Conrad, and Conrad is the oldest. He is also 17. His birthday is in October when he turns 18. Interestingly, sidebar, I read the script for the pilot episode, and he is 18 originally in the pilot, with Belly only 15. And I think they tweaked that because of the, age gap thing there to make them both teenagers, but like under 18. Jenny Han has confirmed that they are less than 2 years apart in age, and that Conrad's birthday is in November, though we don't know the exact date. And we can have another whole episode of the rabbit hole that I went down trying to figure out what day Belly was born on, and I finally figured it out. But her birthday is at the end of June, and it will get celebrated in a couple of episodes. Anyway, as you were saying.
Okay, so we're on a big tangent now already, which is probably going to be our thing. But
of course.
I was just going to say that all my favorite scenes in this episode are between Susanna and Laurel. Particularly Laurel having this new book out, which hasn't performed in a super exciting way. But Laurel's really, she's kind of moved on. Like, she's there. We don't know yet what else is going on, but we can tell there's like significance to being there this summer, and she's got a lot else on her mind. And Susanna is just trying to be this like supportive friend and throw her this big like book party in the bookstore. And Susanna is like trying to arrange the catering and, giving the bookstore a hard time for not ordering enough copies. And I just felt like it was so relatable as an author myself to have this friend who's trying to be really supportive and they're almost like making it worse. You're like, I don't have any illusions that this one signing at this cousin's bookstore is going to like plummet me onto the New York Times bestseller list. Like it's really nice to have this gathering, but I'm not, attaching as much pressure to it. And the more pressure that you're attaching to it is actually like making me more nervous. So I felt like as an author, I kind of like that dynamic, but also I just love their friendship. And as you said, Catherine, I mean, you probably found that relatable too, hopefully.
Oh my God. Yeah, no. It's so funny that it's a change that's from the book. So Laurel is not an author in the book. I don't even know if we know what she does. And for sure it's relatable. She's on the mid list. Her book's been out for a month. Nobody's read it. She goes on this rant about this other author whose books are all over the bookstore. And then, of course, it turns out he's there listening. Yeah.
And by the way, Susanna hasn't read the book either. That's probably the realest part.
It's true. And then she's like, I read all your books. And then you see her later reading it.
She's like,
she cracks the spine. I mean, it's such a great detail. And of course, Jenny Han, who is not a mid-list author, but was.
No, but we see you, Jenny Han. Thank you.
Yeah, knows about that whole experience. Thank you for externalizing it for us. So if you want to know like what the inside of an author's brain is like during release week, you can watch the episode from that perspective for sure.
Totally. But I also think, like you said, about like how the narration is all from Belly's point of view. And this episode starts with her saying we have these magical summers and cousins every year. And there's kind of like the montage of all their, and, I think in those little scenes between Susanna and Laurel, you realize, they are giving these magical summers to their kids. It's their friendship that is the basis for the whole thing. Somebody is behind, this magic isn't just happening. Adults are behind it, and
right.
Kind of appreciating what it would be like to have a friend like that who you literally come back together every summer and you're raising your kids together and you're kind of making this magic happen for them is pretty special. I think.
It is special. Their friendship is definitely like at the heart of the show. And as you say, like what makes all of this happen. It can also, viewed through another lens without giving stuff away that happens, it also ends up being a crisis point, I think, for later character development. I have so much trouble picking my favorite scene, honestly, because I think I'm looking at it through the lens of like knowing what happens, and I was rewatching it specifically trying to spot Easter eggs. But I think I really like the scene with Belly and Conrad at the pool at night. One of the things when we watch the show, through and through, a through line, again without spoilers, is that so many important conversations take place between Conrad and Belly at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely a theme. And we'll talk about the pool versus the beach in a second. But I think also, so they're sitting, Belly goes for night swims. Conrad is he waiting there for her? Potentially, right? He knows that she swims at night, but he's sitting at the edge of the pool and he's smoking up and he's being bad. But even there, even though he's closed off to everyone else and barely speaks in the rest of the episode, he opens up to Belly. They have like a real conversation. She's repeating things to him that he said in the past, and he's flirting with her for real. He's flirting with her. And then you can see right at the end, he's about to tell her. So she's like, you're being different. He's like, I'm not. And she's like, I know you. I know you're being different. Like, just tell me what's going on. And he's about to. And then he gets cut off by the other brothers arriving. And I think something that's so well done with these two, because I feel like both of them are actually themselves with each other from the beginning of the show, that they are both able to be like frank and open with each other in a way that's refreshing to see from like a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, and that it goes back to these like years of knowing one another. So you can see in that episode that like she really knows him and he really knows her. And that doesn't change through the show. So I think that's my favorite scene. It also has a great Easter egg in it, which we'll talk about in a second when we get to Easter eggs. But I think also just setting up themes for the show, with you look at the beginning of her scenes with Conrad. So there's a scene where they all do something called the belly flop, right? The brothers like throw her into the pool. And this is an annual tradition. And she pretends to be pissed off. And she's like, I hurt myself. And she like puts out her hand. And of course, Conrad is the one that comes to help her. And then she pulls him into the pool. And then they're underwater and they have this charged moment where he gets like quite close to her face and he's holding onto her arms. And then she sort of pushes him away. And she's like, what's happening here? And she does also, after this pool scene, talk to her best friend Taylor and say, oh, well, it was different the way we were talking. Like, I felt a different energy there. And I think this is so important if we come back to the idea that Belly is maybe an unreliable narrator, because she starts off by saying, like before she even goes to Cousins, Conrad has never looked at me that way and he never will. But we saw a bunch of flashbacks to when they were kids, including just the summer before and the summer before that. And Conrad is paying her special attention in those flashbacks. And then she's like recognizes that things have shifted, but she just can't quite believe it, which I think is like the foil of Belly, is her inability to believe that somebody that she cares about, like she cares about him, could ever care about her in the same way. And that's all established right there in the first episode.
Yeah, they did a really good job of covering a lot of ground in this episode from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what was your favorite line in the episode?
Honestly, I feel like, I don't know if this is controversial. Why do I have to go first on all the favorites? Okay, I'm just going to do it.
All right, next time I'll go first.
Next time you go first. We'll take turns. I liked when Conrad said, I liked you better with glasses.
Oh, okay. That is controversial. Go
Again, from a storytelling. Okay, so just from an author's perspective,
yes,
I think that line is a brilliant line of dialogue to embed in this scene, right? I mean, there's so many ways to read it. Is he being a brat? Is he lying? You know, is he even telling the truth that he liked her better with glasses? Is he trying to like undercut her while everyone else is like, you could find him unlikable in that scene, but from a writing perspective, for that to be the first thing out of his mouth, I think it's significant that the first thing Conrad does is contradict the title of the whole entire show, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty. So it's like everybody else is going to be falling all over themselves saying she looks different. And I feel like he's like, in his own way, whether he's going about it in a likable way or not, he's kind of signaling that he has always seen her differently and is not sharing this same perspective as everyone else, even if maybe he is. But if we're
Yeah.
giving Conrad the benefit of the doubt, I think it's a very layered line. And everybody else goes on to say the complete opposite for the rest of the episode. So, I mean, there's what else could he have said that would make her like stop and think and look at him the way that she does?
Right. Right. And not even just the rest of the episode, but really the rest of the show.
Yeah, the entire series is the Summer I Turned Pretty. Like, she is marketing this as she was different, and he is like,
Right.
I liked you. I don't think he really means I liked you better before. I think he means I liked you before. I don't know.
Yeah. And you can contrast that to Jeremiah's reaction. So in the episode, Jeremiah sees her for the first time right before that, and he's like, "Oh, you are all grown up."
Yeah.
Like, and then when later she comes out dressed up for her date for Cam, again, he's like, "Hell, you look hot,"
Yeah.
And he's like, and Conrad sort of was like, why are you talking about her like that? He's very concerned too. What I also love about that conversation in the pool, but he's very concerned with like not objectifying Belly. Like, he tells her not to let his mom treat her like a doll for the Deb ball.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's just like that is not what he wants people to say about her, like that's not his.
Even Susanna, I mean, even his mom, Susanna, she's being totally complimentary, but she says to Belly's mom in the kitchen, like, "Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous." And then she's like, "Not that she wasn't pretty before, but." And I feel like everyone else kind of has like a but.
A butt.
And Conrad doesn't have a butt. That's he's maybe being a butt, but he's
he's 17 years old. He's got some shit going on, but
yeah.
But
yeah, exactly. I don't know. If you give him the benefit of the doubt, if you look back on it, I don't know.
Oh, I'm giving Conrad all the benefit of the doubt.
I know you are.
I am. Okay, I have two favorite lines, I think. Maybe that's cheating. But just to your point, in the opening montage when she's talking about cousins, she says, "The dads come to visit, but it's not their place." And that line struck me the first time I watched the show, because I was like, oh, that is so interesting. It's setting up this nostalgia, I feel. The moms and Belly are really into old movies, and we actually see them watching an old movie at one point. It Happened One Night, like classics from the 50s, which play a theme in the show. And that's such a, like, almost a regressive thing to say, that, like, oh, the dads need to work, so the mom and the kids go off to the summer house, but, like, that's not actually what's going on. Is they're kind of, like, sneaking off to have this magical time together, and it's not regressive at all. So I really like that. And it, again, interestingly, that line is not in the pilot. Like, it was added later on. So I think that, it's a great line. I can't remember if it's the book or not. I think it might be, but it's a great line. And then...
Kudos to Catherine for doing the homework for all of us.
Again, insomnia.
Extra credit.
Extra credit. Yay, I love extra credit. And then I do love, again, coming back to the pool scene, where she's like, "You shouldn't smoke, like, stop smoking." And he's like, "What do you give me if I do? What do you give me if I do?" It's so, like, we'll see that in some other episodes this season. Like, he is not hiding his feelings. Like, I'm sorry to anyone who did not watch the same show that I did, but, like, hello, that is not something that is, like, coded about what he means. He is showing a naked, frank interest in her.
Well, it's also, sort of like with the line that I called out, though. He's maybe being a little antagonistic. Like, it's kind of an obnoxious teenage boy kind of thing to say. It's a very teenage boy thing to say.
It is, but yes, but if you, again, think about their dynamic, like, they're friends. They've known each other their whole life.
And he's a teenage boy.
But, and again, this got cut from the pilot, but you see him at the beach. He's with this other girl, Nicole, who he took to a Deb ball the year before, and they're kissing a little bit. In the pilot, a scene that got cut is that he didn't know Nicole was going to be there, and Steven tells him, oh, remember that girl you were talking to last summer? She's going to be at the beach too. And he's like, oh yeah. And he doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not like this. We see him with another girl through this summer, and he's not like this with that girl.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is the other girl is also confused, we'll find out, by his intentions. But Belly is confused, and Belly should not be confused. Like, he's pretty clear. But he does some things. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So anyway, those are my two favorite lines. Okay, I will talk about Easter eggs, but you can tell me if you found some. And some of them you reminded me of. But some Easter eggs in this show, again, look at the montage of photos up front, and in particular, watch the positioning of Belly and Conrad in the montages. What is he doing vis-a-vis her and what she's doing vis-a-vis him? I think they're actually much more him vis-a-vis her focused, which is clearly foreshadowing something. At the pool, the famous pool scene, he is sitting there with his hands in an infinity symbol, yes. And that will become very important very soon. Somebody showed me that on TikTok like a month ago, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Wouldn't it be funny if it turned out Chris Briney just like did that as a nervous tick or something, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's an infinity symbol. And it turns out
somebody needs to interview him and the cast, like, from our perspective. You know, like, the people who get to interview these people are like casual fans of the show, and they do not ask the important questions. In that opening montage, there's a fight over a muffin. We learn these are called dirt bombs. If you want to go look, the Jenny Han actually made the dirt bombs with some of the cast as a little extra. I believe it's on Prime Video. But he hands her one of these muffins for that. And then he also mentions the muffins in the final scene on the beach, which we'll talk about in a second. He says, oh, you want to go get some of the good muffins before anyone is up? And Belly says no and runs away. Which is like, so the entire show in one little scene. She has a bear with a blue and red scarf on it. We'll talk about color theory in a second, called Junior Mint. We will learn all about Junior Mint. He's a pivotal character in the show. And I actually wrote it down. So Jeremiah says to her, oh, like, you still have Junior Mint? And Belly says, I would never throw away Junior Mint. Which, perfect. Chef's kiss for things that happen later. I could not see it, but I think somewhere in her room there's a glass unicorn on her night table, on her dresser somewhere. I didn't see it either, so that's interesting. The wallpaper is a French blue. We'll learn some more about that wallpaper. And then finally, I just want to talk about, I did not come up with this analogy, okay? I've seen it from many people, and I don't know who originated it. But one of the theories about this show is that Jeremiah is a pool, because he's contained and he's maybe shallow in some ways, and that Conrad is like the ocean because he's infinite and he's uncontained, and a lot of really important scenes happen with Conrad and Belly at the ocean. But I was interested, as I mentioned before, in this pilot, how actually they start off at the pool. Mm-hmm. So the pulling him into the water, they have this weird tension, then they have a second moment of tension at the pool, but then things shift. They go to the beach for the beach party, and there's a whole fight between Conrad and Belly, where when he sees her kissing this other girl, she's wearing a Red Sox hat, and she's like, I thought you hated the Red Sox. And then the girl's like, who are you? And she's like, who are you? And
but actually, the first time Belly goes to the ocean on this summer is with Jeremiah. Like, because I had heard that theory before too, and some of this I wonder, they're just at the beach. Not every scene can be with one person. It does seem like the more significant scenes with Conrad are always at the beach. The more significant scenes with Jeremiah are always at the pool, but certainly not everyone. Oh, and maybe they gained symbolism as the series went on. Maybe by series 3, Jenny was like, I'm going to be intentional about the symbolism of this, but maybe it didn't exist in season 1.
That's entirely possible, though. I think the flipping is on purpose, personally, because I think it shows at the beginning they're kind of on equal footing in the sense of like, yes, she's had this long-standing crush on Conrad, but their relationships are on equal footing, like they're all just friends. And so when she goes with Jeremiah to the beach, they're playful like kids. But in the pool with Conrad, it's like something adult is happening there. And
That's
really,
true. There's a lot of wrestling in this show. There's
is.
a lot of like tackling, even Billy and Taylor.
I know. When I watched the first part of the show, I thought the show was going in a different direction. With that scene. And the first time I saw that scene at the pool where she pulls him in, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was like very intense, I found. So I think
I'm always worried that somebody has a phone in their pocket and their phone is going to get ruined.
They're waterproof now. But yes. And I think, so it flips. On the beach, she also says to Nicole, you know, she quotes something else that Conrad says, because Nicole says that, he took me to the dead ball. And he's like, I thought you said that debutantes were sheep, And he's like, I never said. And like, so they get into this big fight that leads to this other intense moment where he's playing with her hair. Again, Belly, he's playing with your hair, girl. Like, wake up. Anywho, but he doesn't see me that way, according to her.
But this is where we also see, like, Belly is also being kind of antagonistic. Like, we talked about some of this stuff that Conrad says that's a little, like, in your face. And I think, to your point, that really is just their dynamic. Like, they've been so close and they have this kind of understanding. And like, Belly doesn't wait until Nicole is out of earshot to call him out on that stuff. She's, like, right in front of her face. Well, I thought you said you don't like this. Well, I thought you said that,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she went to the beach thinking maybe something was going to happen with Conrad, and then she finds him kissing another girl. So, yeah. But I think that that flip is very important for setting up the show. Two other Easter eggs. She puts her head out the window when they're entering Cousins. That's an important motif. In the store, she buys Sour Patch Kids. She's eating Cheetos, but she bought a patch of Sour Patch Kids. She also, like, puts lip gloss on her lips and takes her hair down before she's going to see the boys for the first time. There's also Susanna's hydrangeas. She's arranging them in a vase. Hold on. He messes her hair also in that first interaction with the I liked you better with glasses, and then he messes her hair. All of these things are things one should remember from later. Also in her room, there's two paintings. Susanna is a painter, and there's two paintings. There's one of Belly, very young, in the pool, and there's one of her leaping into the pool, and the positioning of those in her room is interesting, something to watch for later. Hold on. I think just the last thing about that flip on the beach is, she gets called a feral little alley cat by her mom. That's something that also comes back later. But at the end of the show, where they're on the beach, and she is like asking Conrad if he remembered what happened last night, and he's like, I remember everything when I drink. That's important. And then he's about to smoke. And she says, give me a puff. And he says, no, and no. And then she's like, well, then you can't smoke either. And he says, same old Belly. And then he asks her to go for the muffins. And then a song starts playing. And she gets up and runs away to him with literally the lyrics are to kill her insecurities. Like, it's so well done. Because, like, again, he's, like, wants to spend time with her. He's telling her, I remember everything that happened last night. And yet she runs away from him to a safe space. Right?
She runs away from the muffins for the first of many times that she will run away from the muffins.
Get that cookie. Get that muffin.
Maybe Conrad's love language is muffins. And yeah, that was a really good summary, Catherine. This is why, you as the Swiftie are bringing the Easter eggs, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, maybe some of that. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so let's talk about the Taylor Swift of it all.
Yeah. Oh, wait, do we need to talk about the color theory?
Yeah.
Easter egg first and then the
Yeah.
song? Or do you want to do it the other way around?
No, I think let's talk about that. So there's two songs that are only ever used in the trailers and never in the show that are Taylor Swift songs. One of them is Red, and that has started the color theory because of the lines. Losing him was blue like I'd never known. Missing him was dark gray all alone. Forgetting him was like trying to know somebody you never met, but loving him was red. Loving him was red. So just remember the following three colors: blue, gray, and red. And watch who's wearing what in the show over the next 26 episodes. I will note that Conrad was wearing a red sweatshirt at the pool.
Okay, and we will not be implementing the color theory in our recording of this podcast or whatever this is because I don't own enough red.
And I'm wearing blue. That's just because that's what my Taylor Swift shirt is. So.
That I am wearing like a dusty rose that is like as close as I get to red for the most part. So
hilarious.
Yeah, we are not signaling anything. To be clear.
To be clear, there's
I'm not really
the Daylight Theory. It's another song of Taylor's. And the lyrics that are important is all, and I can see it all in my mind, all of you, all of me intertwined. I once believed love would be black and white, but it's golden. And that is important. Oh, sorry, she continues. And I can see it all in my head, back and forth from New York, sneaking in your bed. I once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden like daylight. Taylor, I think, maybe has synesthesia because she has a lot of songs where she relates emotions to colors. Yeah, so those are the, like, daylight and red theories. If Belly is really in love, it's golden. I'm just going to say that. See if you can spot the difference. And then I think we should also pay attention to mirroring. There is a lot of mirroring in the show with like people and how they're dressed and what that means for their characters.
And I totally buy into the daylight theory. I think Jenny Han and the director, whoever is doing especially the lighting for the show, ends up leaning into that really obviously in the third season in a really beautiful, like striking way. The red and the blue, I don't know. We'll see.
I agree with you.
It kind of feels like picking and choosing. I mean, Catherine and I had talked earlier in the summer. My initial theory was that Swifties could solve a murder, which I really think that they could. But I think if you gave them a cold case and you gave them all the clues, they could 100% solve a murder. But I also think that they could potentially falsely accuse somebody
100%
of a crime, which might be what is going on with this color theory. We'll see. I will pay more attention. I feel like it is very easy to pull something out in a scene and be like, well, that is red. That seems so symbolic. But then, what about all the other times that it was blue? I don't know. We'll see. No, we'll pay more attention as we go.
I agree with you, and I think the issue is maybe we just don't understand how Jenny is using color theory in the show, because it's not Conrad is always red and Jeremiah is always blue.
Right, they're not like South Park characters who are always wearing the same t-shirt.
No. It's more their emotional state. So
yeah, okay.
And
well, Conrad's emotional state is pretty
it's
blue.
Yeah, but he's wearing red, which is interesting, right? So yeah, I don't know. That's
okay.
TBD.
So how I'm going to make you go first on this one.
Yeah,
so
okay.
the pivotal song that was used, you already said earlier, was "Lover." When she sees him for the first time that summer, how do you feel about that song choice? And then, if you had to choose your own, whether you liked it or not, if you had to choose your own Taylor song for that scene, what would it be?
Yeah. I have to say, like, the first time I ever watched the show, Lover came on and it was so loud. And the slow-mo, and I was like, oh no, what is happening? And my husband tapped out at that minute. Like, he was like, and I'm gone. And I was like, okay, I get it. I actually and I apologize to the creators of a show that I love, but it felt it was a little heavy-handed.
I think it's a little, I think it's a little over the top too, but I also think it was supposed to be a little over the top. Like, she's very melodramatic about it, but to me, Lover is about an established relationship. It's not about yearning for one that does not exist yet. That's just my own connotation.
No, I agree with you, but, of course, there's always a deeper level. If you look at the lyrics, so he comes out, it's slow-mo, and we hear these lines. And there's a dazzling haze, a mysterious way about you, dear, have I known you 20 seconds or 20 years? But that is not the first line of the song. Mm-hmm. The first line of the song is, we could leave the Christmas lights up till January, and this is our place, we make the rules.
Yeah, you mastermind, Jenny Han.
Oh, Jenny Han! And I know, like, if you've never watched the show, you're like, what are they talking about? But, wow. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, maybe.
That is so perfect, and that she skips it is so subtle. So in a moment that feels over the top, something subtle is going on, which is, I think, super interesting. But the song I would have used instead, if I would have used another song, I think is Mary's Song. And Mary's Song is a song about two people whose parents like decided that they should be together as kids, and then they have known each other their whole lives, and then they do end up together. And it's a very sweet, nostalgic song. Taylor wrote that song because she met this couple who had been together forever, and they told her their love story, and she was so inspired that she wrote this song, and it's on her debut album. And then that song has come on to take a new meaning in her relationship with Travis, because there's this iconic line, and you'll be 87 and I'll be 89. Or I'll be 87 and you'll be 89, and his number is 87. And they were born in 89, and she has an album called 1989. And she then used it in this like mashup on the Eras tour that is called the Travis mashup, because she had never played the song on the whole tour. And she played it in this mashup with another song called So High School that's about him, and this other song called Everything Has Changed. And it was so beautiful. And there's video of Travis crying during it. Anyway, we won't talk about it. And Jessica's like...
Jessica's lost.
Okay. But anyway, I think thematically, Mary's Song sort of is one of the themes of the show.
It's actually, if you just like, even if you have heard the song, if you really just look up the lyrics and just read the lyrics straight through, it is pretty darn perfect for this episode. Great choice.
Yeah, thank you. What about you?
Yeah. So I actually thought I was going to pick a song that was as sweet as Mary's Song. Like, I had a song in my head. I'm not going to say which one because I might pick it for something else. But I had a song in my head that I thought would be perfect for this episode. And then when I watched it, I thought it was actually too sweet for how for the tension that already exists between her and Conrad in this moment. So I actually went with Cruel Summer, which... so this was with trepidation because I knew you were probably going to be like, well, that song actually means this. And she went on the record to say this, and I wasn't going to know any of those things. No. But first of all, that song is actually playing when she is packing her suitcase, which I missed the first time. But when she's at the beginning of the episode, when she's hanging out with Taylor in her room, packing for cousins, that song is playing on the radio, and it's really subtle. I missed it. I actually... only knew it was playing when it was pointed out to me. So I had already chosen that song, and then I'm like, so I feel like Jenny chose it too. She just used it in a more subtle way, and I think that could have been a really cool, if you were to crank up the volume on that and play it when Conrad walks in. I think that song just has this kind of like forbidden yearning, sneaking out after dark kind of thing that's happening this summer, especially because she's referring to him as a bad boy. Well, whoever the song is about, she's referring to him as a bad boy. And Conrad is totally leaning into the bad boy vibe in this episode, like more than he ever does for almost the whole entire rest of the series. And then, so I, being a new student of the School of Swiftie, looked up Taylor's words on this song, and she said, This song is one that I wrote about the feeling of a summer romance and how oftentimes a summer romance can be layered with all these feelings of pining and sometimes even secrecy. There's an element of desperation and pain in it where you're yearning for something that you don't have quite yet. It's just right there and you just like can't reach it.
Perfect.
So,
yes. And
I think I did okay.
You did great. But it's even better because, like, let's look at the lyrics for a second of that song.
Mm-hmm.
So, fever dream high in the quiet of the night. You know that I caught it. Bad boy, as you said, shiny toy with a price. You know that I bought it. Killing me slow out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always waiting for you to be waiting below. Devil rolls the dice. Angels roll their eyes. What doesn't kill me makes me want you more. And it's new. The shape of your body, it's blue. The feeling I got. And it's a cruel summer. It's cool. That's what I tell him. No rules in breakable heaven. But ooh, it's a cruel summer with you. So,
and also in the bridge, she yells, I love you. Ain't that the worst thing you've ever heard? Which
yeah.
I totally could, that is like totally something that she would yell at Conrad if she was being honest. So, yeah.
Yeah. Or in a different way, if Conrad said that to her, depending on her reaction.
Oh, yeah, true.
Right?
Okay, so one of the things we wanted to do every week, if anyone even is listening to this, we would love to know what Taylor song you would most associate with this episode, whether it's the one that was actually used, one of the ones that we said, or whether you have another idea like, oh, this would have been really cool. Because it's cool to go back and say it's absolutely no criticism of the show, just like kind of like our own fan fiction. Like, what song would you, if you got to do the soundtrack yourself, even if you liked it as it was?
Yeah.
What would you pick? Yeah.
And I think also, like, the one other thing to say about the use of Taylor's songs in this show is they are a way of giving us access to Belly's thoughts, again, not through voiceover. So I believe that they're never used for any other character in the show. There is a lot of great songs used in this show, and I'm going to plug, They're So Smart. They put out a playlist. It's on Apple Music and Spotify, I think, the Summer I Turned Pretty playlist, and it starts chronologically, so you can go listen to all these songs. So I think it's something to keep in mind, too, about when the Taylor songs are used.
Ooh, maybe we should build our own playlist at the end of season 1 for the Summer I Turned Swiftie playlist.
That's a good idea. So far we have Mary's Song and Cruel Summer, right?
Yes.
Okay, smart. We're going to do that.
And Lover. We can leave Lover in there.
No, Lover needs to stay, because now that
Lover
I found
needs to
that,
stay.
Like, it does need to stay. And I do love that song. It's a great song.
It's a wonderful song. It's a wonderful song. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little, in that moment it seems a little over the top, but that's how she feels. She feels over the top, and she's 15. You know?
Oh, 15.
So intense. Yeah.
So intense. I am not with the man that I was in love with when I was 15.
No. Thank God.
We'll just leave it
Let's just say.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we're going to leave it with that for you this week. So that is our first episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have suggestions on stuff that we should be doing, could be doing, drop them in the comments. And we'll see you next week with episode 2. You have some homework. Go watch episode 2. And watch episode 1 again if you haven't already. And, watch the whole show if you want to. I do it on a regular basis.
And Catherine's going to do a bunch of extra stuff. And I'm just going to nod and act like I know what she's talking about. It's going to be great.
Okay, and you can follow us on Instagram, the Summer I Turn Pretty Pod. We're trying to...
Swiftie. The Summer I Turned Swiftie Pod.
Thank you. The Summer I Turned Swiftie Pod. We're on YouTube. The Summer I Turned Swiftie podcast. And trying to get threads up and running. But anyway, follow us there. Follow us on our socials. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for hearing.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Here.
Thanks, Catherine.
I said thanks for hearing. Okay. I'm going to stop this right now.